All right, we got one more interview this week while I'm away on vacation. I appreciate everybody who's been watching these videos and hopefully enjoying these videos. They've been fun to put together. These interviews were a lot of fun to do last week. We had Damian Dunn that we released on Monday, and Tuesday we released our interview with Cam Corrin. Yesterday we released our interview with Amsal Delilich. And I think all three of those were really interesting and informative for a lot of different reasons, and hopefully you've gotten a chance to check them all out. If you haven't, go take a look. I think you'll enjoy them. I know I enjoyed putting them together, and it was fun to talk to those guys. We got one more interview today, and then we're going to have sort of a special mailbag episode tomorrow. See, I got you guys covered. You thought when I went on vacation there wasn't going to be any Morning Pitt. No, we got Morning Pitt every day of the week, including tomorrow. But today we have our fourth interview, and this one's a little bit different. You know, the last three, obviously, with Dunn, Corrin, and Delilich. We were talking to some of the newcomers on the Pitt basketball team. Today we're going to talk to an old head, so to speak. He's Gilbert Brown. Gil Brown, of course, is on the Pitt coaching staff. Now he's one of the assistant coaches, and I wanted to talk to him about that. I wanted to talk to him about his history, but he's also the head coach and general manager for Pitt's Zoo Crew team in the basketball tournament. The basketball tournament is going to have a Pittsburgh regional. It's going to be held later this month in a couple weeks. I think July 20th is the first game. I mean, the roster looks great. Nelly Cummings, Nike Sabandi, Jared Wilson Frame, Ryan Luther, Mike Young, Jamel Artis, Lamar Patterson, and DeJuan Blair, former Pitt players on the roster. And so I was excited about the opportunity to talk to Gil because I wanted to talk about how you put together a roster like that. I mean, like, so you think about your centers, right? You got Ryan Luther and DeJuan Blair. Ryan's a lot younger than DeJuan, but DeJuan's still DeJuan. Like, is DeJuan going to go out and push him around? I'm really interested. I want to see how this team does against other teams. I would love to just watch the practices and see how Gilbert Brown is running his practices. Is he running it more like a Jamie Dixon kind of practice? Or is he running more like a Jeff Capel kind of practice? And you know what? Actually, for someone who's been around both of those coaches a lot, I think Gilbert Brown's in a unique position to sort of compare and contrast Jamie Dixon and Jeff Capel. So on today's Morning Pitt conversation, we're talking to Gilbert Brown, former Pitt player, current Pitt basketball assistant coach, and head coach of the Zoo Crew team in this year's basketball tournament. And Gil, thanks so much for joining us. It's exciting to catch up with you. I was just joking before that I've been covering Pitt for about 20 years, so I saw you come in as a fresh-faced young man, you know, fresh out of high school and everything. Now you're a grizzled veteran of the coaching scene. I want to talk. We got a lot of things I want to talk about, but what's it been like these past few years being on the other side of it, being on the bench as a coach after so many years as a player?
Oh man, thanks for having me. It's been like full circle, life coming full circle from playing basketball at Pitt, graduating, going professional, then coaching at high school, now coaching at Pitt. And being on the other side, it's rewarding, as part of the reason why I got into the job, just being able to work with young men and, help, teach them and guide them throughout their journey and their path. So it's been rewarding, and especially it's been rewarding in the last couple of seasons, having really, really good seasons.
Right. You obviously played for Jamie Dixon. You're coaching with Jeff Capel now, and I'm sure you've had a lot of influences in your life, in your career, as a player and as a coach. But what would you say you've taken from each of those guys in your own, that sort of come through in your coaching style, I guess? I'm sure Jamie was a huge influence for you just playing for him as long as you did. But I mean, what do you feel like you've sort of taken from those guys or absorbed from them?
They're both great coaches. Playing for Dixon as a player, it's a different experience. But when you look back at it through the coach's lens, you realize like just his attention to detail, his drive, his focus, his motivations, just how he kind of got players to kind of play together. That was one of the biggest things that I appreciated throughout my college year, my teammates, and how somehow we all came together up and to play up under him. But just his focus, his attention to detail, breaking down film and different things in that nature kind of helped me with the coaching aspect from what I learned from him. And working with Capel these last 3 years, going on year 4, it's great. Just his approach, his family environment. I think that's one of the reasons why the culture of our program has turned around, recruiting good players, and him just being able to guide them and teach them and kind of mold them in these last couple of years has been just like really, really special, and he's a basketball guy. So, I feel like everything revolves around basketball with him. So like whether we're talking about college, the NBA, just his knowledge of the game, his of the history of the game is just like really, really impressive. It makes me actually dive deeper and further into the archives.
That's cool. I think a lot of Pitt fans would look at it and say that for Jamie, everything was like really structured. I mean, it was very precise in what you guys did on the floor, and maybe with Jeff, there's a little bit more freedom in what the players do on the court.
Yeah,
Is that accurate? I mean, like, you've seen it a lot closer than we have. Is that really how it works out?
100% in that type of way, because I feel like as the players, like the structure and the system that Dixon ran, it was kind of like not repetitive, but you knew what you were going to get. Whereas the freedom, a lot of our guys said, well, I wish we had the freedom to kind of play in that structure, because we had a lot of talented guys from Levance Field to Brad Wanamaker, all the way back to Brandon Knight and Carl Krauser. So like, you think of those guys being able to play kind of free in a sense, we get excited. So we actually enjoy seeing the new style as from the alumni aspect of how he lets the players play.
There's I'm gonna ask you an old guy question now. Kids these days, could you still run a Jamie Dixon system? I don't know if that's what he's doing at TCU. I mean, like, but could you get kids to buy in, not just on the offense, but also on I mean, how much you guys stress the defense, how much you guys stress the rebounding, all of those things that were so important. I mean, is that a tougher sell with kids these days? I mean, it's been 20 years. I mean, is it a little bit harder to get kids to buy into that kind of structure?
I think it is, just because of the changing of the game in high school, college, and to the pros. So kids want more freedom and want the ability to play and play to their abilities. But I think it can still happen. I know even though Virginia's been always consistent, and Tony Bennett has had that system forever. When he gets the right players, and that system is elite. So I think certain coaches have the ability to run their system and maintain that system, but I think it's harder in today's game. It definitely is with the kids that are coming in. So you have to be kind of open to changing things, and just changing the way you attack basketball in that
Sure.
sense.
So the basketball tournament here coming up, there's a Pittsburgh region. It's later this month. Are you the head coach of the Zoo Crew team? I see that you're sort of in charge of it. What's your title? Are you calling yourself head coach of the Zoo Crew?
So I just made that decision recently. I'm gonna be the head coach of the team. I'm gonna have Jermaine Dixon and Antonio Graves help me out with assistant spot. So trying to keep it in house. I was trying to bring back Levance Fields. He still hasn't returned my call, so I'm gonna have to send him this as soon as it's over. See if he could come in too as well. But yeah, I'm gonna be the head coach of it, and I'm really excited about it, man. It's been a process trying to get it here in Pittsburgh and get all the guys involved, and I think we have a really, really good team of guys that are coming to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was looking over the roster before we started here. I mean, you got your guards with Nelly and Nike and Jared Wilson frame. You got your wings, Mike Young and Jamel Artis and Lamar Patterson. And then you got your big guys, Ryan Luther and DeJuan Blair. How much did you put that together? I mean, how are you the GM also? Are you the coach and the GM, or who assembled this roster?
I am the GM, and now I'm the coach. I've been trying to do this, to create a little bit of like, hype and just alumni, to come together with the younger kids and just that camaraderie from the past generations and share it with this new generation. We've had the alumni come and participate in a little alumni weekend or game against our guys that we try to play a little pickup, just so guys could kind of build that bridge and network with these guys. Like, these guys were in the same shoes that you were in 20 years ago for some of us, 10, 15. And, they had success, and kind of like tell them about what it took to be successful in college at Pittsburgh. So, right now I'm the GM, and now I'm the head coach.
So when you just kind of tying back to something we talked about a minute ago. So when you're going to be the head coach with these guys, are you going to be more Jamie or Jeff? What's your style and approach here?
I'm gonna be Gilbert Brown, but I'll probably be more Jeff because I think especially when it comes to pros and just letting them play and level being on that same level with them, you got to like put people in positions to be great. So I'm probably gonna be more Jeff. If
Oh,
that's
okay. Okay.
yeah.
Now, that I assume you're like anybody, you're thinking about lineups and things like that. I mean, do you have a starting five in mind? You going to make it, competition? How are you approaching this?
Um, we'll see after we have our a little alumni pickup game, and I'll see who's in shape, and we'll make the decision then.
I mean, Dewan's a lot older than Ryan Luther. I mean, like that's a solid like 7 year difference there. And I mean, Dewan's your guy, but
Hey,
you
the
know,
best players got to play. I know guys are my guys, but we're trying to win this. We're playing at home in Pittsburgh, and we're going to put the best guys out there.
I guess it'd be fun if like the competition brings out like the best in Dewan. If Dewan starts pushing him around, I mean, can Ryan get physical with Dewan to win that
I
job?
don't think anybody can get physical with the one. That's a different beast right there. He's the big fella for a reason.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the more unique players I've ever seen. I mean, not just personality, but just playing style. They're like there aren't other Dewan Blairs. You know what I mean? There's not really a comparison for him at
Not at
all.
all. Not at all. I don't think anybody thought when Dewan came in the effect that he would have like coming in. But when he did it, it was so impressive. So that's why he's going into the Hall of Fame this year at Pittsburgh. He's one of the great players at Pitt. And I'm just appreciative to be able to play with him.
You talk about unique guys like Dewan is one of one. Like we say, there's no other. I kind of feel like Blake Hinson is sort of one of one. Also, like there aren't many other Blakes, right? And so I was thinking about this during the year. I think probably after that big game at Duke when he stood on the table and everything. I was thinking about like 21st century Pitt basketball, like your Mount Rushmore of Pitt basketball, right? Like Dewan is on there.
Mm,
I'm sort of I think Brandon Knight would be on there. I mean, he's the godfather of Pitt basketball in this era, right?
yeah,
Is Blake not just for ability, but just sort of everything about him? I mean, like the personality, the standing on the table at Duke. I mean, like that's an iconic moment. Is he a Mount Rushmore of 21st century Pitt basketball guy?
we're talking about from 2000s.
Yeah, yeah. Just going back to 2000. We're not getting back to Charles Smith and all these guys. Just since Ben Howland and Jamie Dixon got here, or since Jamie, whatever you want to call it.
That's tough because you got guys like Brandon Knight. You got guys like obviously Brandon Knight and Dewan,
Mm-hmm.
Carl Krauser, Sam Young, Levance Fields.
Vance.
It's like is the win at Duke bigger than the Levance game-winning shot? It's in just Levance the general. So it's tough. Blake is in conversation for sure, but it's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah. The iconic moment for Levance was when I think it was this past season when they recognized the 0809 team, right? And
Yeah,
Levance showed up with a shirt with a
yeah.
picture of that shot. I was like, I hope to someday accomplish something so cool that I can make a T-shirt of my accomplishment and wear it. And I was like, Levance is one of the only guys who could do that, right? Like, who else would show up with a shirt like that?
Definitely. That's the most Levance Fields thing ever right there. And of course I have
Exactly.
to go support him. Everybody else should too.
Well, you got Nelly Cummings on this team. He's an interesting guy to me because I feel like he's got a legacy at Pitt, even though he was only here for 1 year. Like, what do you feel like Nelly's legacy is and his impact on Pitt basketball, even though it was just one season?
I think those guys on the was it the 21-22 team or no the 22-23 team?
Yeah, yeah.
They're the start of something special. When we look back, God willing, we have the success and keep growing. But when we look back, they're going to be the guys who kind of like jump started the program again into the right direction. They were the guys who took us to the tournament. Those were the guys who were one game away from winning the ACC title and making history. So like Nelly Cummings is a part of that. So like I think his legacy, being a Pittsburgh kid, to come back and just to kind of boost our program back into where it used to be is big for us.
That was such a huge season to get back into the winning ways, get back to the tournament. But then you guys lost a lot from that season going into this past year, right? Nelly was gone, Jamarius was gone, Nike was gone, and all this stuff. Was there a point when it sort of clicked for you of like, oh wait, we might actually be able to pick this up and have success again? Like, do you remember? Was it over the summer in Spain or during the season? When did it really hit you of like, wait, we're going to keep this thing rolling?
Oh, I think I felt it right away. You know, watching Jalen Lowe and Bub in high school was I knew we were getting good players. I knew, and I knew how much potential Bub had. You know, before he got here. But then when he actually got here and Jalen got here, got to Pittsburgh and we watched them play, and then we went to Spain. I was like, oh, this could be a really, really good team. And we had our bumps because in the road because we were kind of young, but those guys played amazing. And just the growth of Blake Henson becoming the leader, all of these little things told me that we were going to have a good season.
Mm-hmm. You how excited are you to see Jalen now as the guy? You know, and I think he emerged as that over the second half of the season. But like coming into this year, this is his team, right? Like he's the man, right? I mean, how excited are you to see him stepping into that role? How have you already seen him stepping into that role?
No, I'm very excited. And I think he's doing a great job stepping into the role, just leading the guys, organizing the pickup, conducting certain things, you know, trying to be a leader and a vocal leader at that point, as well as showing and putting in the work in. So, you know, when he actually says something, these words have a lot more, have merit to it because, hey, he's working just as hard as anybody out here. So, you know, he's entitled to it. But, you know, I'm very excited to see him become the leader of this team and, you know, kind of try to push this team to new heights. And, you know, with guys like Ishmael Leggett coming back, being an older guy, I feel like they complement him and they kind of empower him to be who he's going to be.
Yeah, obviously want to go down memory lane just a minute here, and I probably should ask you like what was like the best memory of your time at Pitt? What was the greatest success or anything? But before that, I got to ask you, Villanova or Butler? Which one? Which one stings more, Villanova
Butler.
or Butler? Really?
Butler.
Really?
Butler. Yes. I mean, Villanova, we're one game away from the Final Four, but Butler, because I could have iced the game, and I honestly believe that 2011 team had just the same amount of chance to win the national championship as the 09 team. You know, you see Butler go to the championship.
Yeah.
And I think that 2011 team, just our style of play and the guys on that team, we were kind of made to go and make a long run in the tournament.
Wow. That one, you didn't even hesitate. You just that's the one that just.
I say Butler because it was in my hands. All I had to do was make the free throw. You know,
that's tough.
So that's the tough part about it.
Yeah. So I mean, all right, if they played head to head, who wins? Like the 08-09 team or the 10-11 team? Everybody's in their prime and all that kind of thing. You know, like
everybody's in their prime. You know, See, 09 had obviously the Vans, DeWanda Sam. And we kind of like rode and relied on those guys. And we had me and Brad off the bench. Like, it was a really good team. That's tough. 09 team probably wins. I just think the 11 team makes it tough because of our execution. I think we're the best offensive executing teams in the country at that point, like assist to turnover ratio. So we played really, really well together. So I think it'll be a tough fought game. But 09 has like DeWan to throw it into and Sam to throw it into. So it might get a little, they might pull away with that. I win either way.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It works out well for you. Well, the 10-11 team, like you guys were all old, right? I feel like everybody was like a 4th or 5th year player on that team, right?
So you had the 3 seniors and me, Brad and Gary. Ashton Gibbs was a junior at the time, and Nasir Robinson was a junior.
Yeah.
We were all old in the starting lineup, you know, and then you had guys like who was a 3rd-year redshirt sophomore, Trayvon Woodall, you know, Dante Taylor as a sophomore, who else? Talib Zana as a redshirt freshman, and Lamar Patterson as a redshirt freshman. So everybody had some seasons of experience. So, you know, I think that's kind of really what made the team that special.
Yeah. You guys were. I mean, it's sort of in vogue now to have like the veteran teams, you know what I mean? Like old guys. You guys were like ahead of the curve. You were playing with like seniors and redshirt juniors years ago, you know?
100%. You know, that was one of the things I think Dixon did. I feel like everybody redshirt. When you look at the names I just listed, Trayvon Woodall, Talib Zana, Lamar Patterson, myself, we're all red shirts. Somehow he had it like, I'm gonna keep him here 1 year. Next thing you know, the program's gonna be okay. But in
And the
today's era,
development too, like the development, like I remember like Brad's first year on the court or Lamar's first year. I mean, like they weren't good. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not saying they were bad players, but like, you know, Brad, I remember Jamie yelling at Brad at times, like, you know, you don't even know the play and stuff like that. Like it took time, but then guys really like, I don't know if that would happen nowadays. Like, I don't know if guys would stick around. I don't know if guys would redshirt first of all, although you guys, you've had a couple of red shirts in the last couple of years, but like, I don't think guys would redshirt. And if they got on the court and they're only playing 7 minutes per game and they're getting yelled at all the time, like, I don't think guys would stay. You know what I mean?
I think it's hard to get guys to stay. The idea of the program in today's college basketball is tough, you know, in regards to NIL and the transfer portal. So guys are less likely to stay and wait for their turn. Whereas you have guys that want it right now and they're willing to transfer to another school so that they can get the opportunity.
Yep.
And I think it makes it harder also too for coaches as well. So, we're trying to have success, and it's like, do you have an older guy or do you have the younger guy? And right now, with seeing the results in college basketball, the teams that are older are more successful.
Yeah. But it seems like a lot of them are older because they bring in the transfer. You know what I mean? It's not like some of them have the guy who's been there for 4 years, but a lot of them are, you know, and you guys have done it too. You got, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Blake was an older guy. Nelly was an older guy. Nike. I mean, like, you know, you've had the Ish comes in, you know, you've had the older guys, but either way, I wanted to ask you, you know, this rule change allowing 6 coaches to go on the road. Will you be able to go on the road now if one of the other 4 guys is not on the road?
Yes, I've been on the road a couple times in the past years, when I got to have the opportunity when one coach was out. So with the new rule change, that'll allow me to go on the road more frequent and be able to have my face seen recruiting.
Do you like getting out and going to events, and you know, do you like spending a weekend at a at an event and scouting?
I do. I don't mind it. I really do. I like getting out and seeing the young players, and seeing old coaches and old players that I grew up playing against that are now coaching, and, connecting with those people, so and just the new talent that's out there. So it's part of the job, and I'm excited about it.
That's cool. All right. Last thing then, just as we wrap up talking about the basketball tournament, you know, what's your you're the head coach, you're the GM. I'll ask you to be the hype man. Like, how sell it to Pitt fans? It's here in Pittsburgh. It's a Pittsburgh region. Like, convince the Pitt fans why they need to come out and watch this team play, the Zoo Crew.
I think we have a team that has a legit chance to win the $1 million. We're at home in Pittsburgh. We have size, we have athleticism, we have the talent, we have guys that have won at a high level on the team. And, I think I have one more trick up my sleeve with the player I'm going to add. But we'll see if it's released here soon in the next week and a half before the deadline comes. So if we get that done, I'm more than confident that we can run the tables in the Pittsburgh region. So, but it's going to be great. And why not come see us play in our home court? We're right here at home in Pittsburgh. We win this game. The next matchup, potentially, we have West Virginia. You have UConn. Come see the old Big East, as some of these fans like to see. So I think you come out and support and, watch some good basketball.
Nice. That was good. I like the tease too, that you got another guy you might add. I mean, that's something to watch for. It'll be exciting to see what you come up with. But all right, Gil, thanks so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. It was fun to kind of go down some memories. I'm sorry I asked you about the bad memories, but it's it is. And those memories are still pretty fresh, even though it's been 15 years since the Villanova game, which is that's kind of crazy. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a minute. But all right, well, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you in the basketball tournament. We'll definitely be watching when it happens.
Thank you. You take care.
Yeah, Zoo Crew team is playing on Saturday, July 20th at 8 o'clock at the Peterson Events Center. You can get tickets to that. If they win, they'll advance to the second round and face the winner of Best Virginia, which is the West Virginia team, and the Brotherly Love Pro-Am Foundation team. That game will be on Monday the 22nd, and the Pittsburgh Regional Championship game is Wednesday, July 24th. So opportunity to see some former Pitt greats: Nellie Cummings, Nike Sabandi, Jared Wilson-Frame, Ryan Luther, Mike Young, Jamel Artis, Lamar Patterson, DeJuan Blair. See all those guys, plus maybe Gil's secret surprise guest. He had a little tease for us there. We'll see who he's able to come up with that he adds to the roster. But, you get a chance to see all of those guys play. You probably have watched those guys in a lot of games over the years. Here's a chance to see them all play on one team together. I thought that was a fun conversation with Gil. I didn't mean to just ask him about bad times with the Villanova and Butler games, but I was curious. And I think it was interesting that he picked the Butler game as the one that stings him the most. It might be because of his own personal, although he had like 24 points in that game. But got to win the game at the end. And that Pitt team, as much as any, they choked that game away. I still remember that. That Butler game was a rough one. That was an ugly one. Villanova was a tough one. There's no question about it. But Butler was pretty bad. I'm curious from Pitt fans, which one of those games stung you the most? You heard Gil's answer. I still kind of lean toward Villanova because if you win that game, you're in the Final Four. But, I understand where Gil is coming from. I'm curious what Pitt fans think, though. What your answer to that question would be. Which one hurts you the most, the Villanova game or the Butler game? I'd like to hear from you. Put it in the comments or go on the message boards at Panther-Lair.com and share your thoughts there. Panther-Lair.com, Pittsburgh.rivals.com for all the Pitt conversation you can possibly handle. And, of course, don't forget, like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com, to get all of our Pitt video content all day. Oh, not all day, every day, but every day we've got some new video content for you right here at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. Hopefully you've enjoyed these interviews. They've been a lot of fun to do this week. Give you some content while I'm away at the beach. I'm still checking in. I'm loading these things and publishing these things and tweeting about them and posting about them and everything like that. But hopefully you've enjoyed it. I know they were a lot of fun to do, and I appreciate everybody who's checking them out. So like and subscribe if you don't mind. And I hope you've had a great week so far. We got a special Morning Pitt mailbag tomorrow with just one question. One question in tomorrow's mailbag, and we'll answer it. I think it was an interesting question. It was from a mailbag submission a couple weeks ago. I wasn't able to get to the question that week, but I was like, you know what? I bet I could do a whole episode on that one question. And so that's what we're doing tomorrow. The Morning Pitt mailbag with one question. I think you'll like it. I think it's an interesting conversation, something we could have a little back and forth about. But anyway, thanks so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch up with you tomorrow for the Morning Pitt mailbag right here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.